Hello and good morning. Take two. Had a nice big yawn in the middle of that last one. Today is day 50. It's the 7th of April. It's not as early as it was the other morning, so hopefully I don't feel like I need to yawn every 5 seconds. I was just saying earlier to my partner, my wife, that I can talk to her and not yawn even a little bit in the morning. We can have a whole conversation and I won't need to yawn. But the minute that I get on the vlog and start talking to the camera, I yawn, and I have to yawn. And I wonder if that's because I'm having to make it up as I go. And with her, it's more of a pattern. See, now that would be an interesting thing to look at. Like, it would be an interesting thing to observe. Is when I interact with her, am I following sort of a roller coaster pattern when I talk to her? And then when I sit down here and talk to this computer or talk to the camera, is it because it's more freestyle and it's more making it up as I go, with some basic notes? Is it more I don't know. I have to think more about it to get it to happen. It's interesting. Anyway, last night I had one of those nights where I couldn't remember any of the dreams that I had except for one dream that I had where I had two women from my past in it. Two women from my past who, let's say, were knowingly used for purposes. These were not relationships. These were booty call situations. And my wife was also in this dream. She didn't start out in the dream, and there was no sex involved. I was trying to lead these two, one of them. I was trying to lead her across a river, and then through a small desert, and then eventually we got to this place where we could rest, and I looked up and I was like, oh, there's a town up there. I'm pretty sure there's a town up there, so we could just go up there and look for a hotel. And then we got there, and that's where my wife showed up. And we were going to get a hotel, and the person behind the counter refused to allow us in because we didn't have any ID. And the person didn't know this, but we didn't have any money either. I mean, we had money, but not on us. We had no ID or cards or anything. We had basically been, for whatever reason, we'd crossed the river and lost all of that stuff. And he wouldn't let us stay at the hotel. And then we left, and I don't know what the transition was, but then suddenly I was in the military again, getting ready to jump out of a plane as part of some kind of test for my branch. And I remember thinking, at the time, I don't remember having to do parachute training when I joined the Air Force the first time. So I don't know why they're making me do parachute training now. And then the other girl from my past, came in and was sort of there as like a helper. And I remember thinking when I saw her, oh, I don't need to get involved with her because she's outside of that part of my life now. I don't communicate with her anymore, and she's just doing her thing. She's helping the military now, I guess. And getting like parachutes and stuff unpacked and handing out things to all these other recruits that were sitting in this big room. And then I made a joke with the guy sitting next to me about the television that was on the wall. It was like a 50-foot wide flat screen television, and I made a joke saying I would love to have that television in my house. I don't know where it would go, maybe as a ceiling. Not a joke per se, but we were joking about the size of it, and then I woke up, and I wrote in my journal that I was I wrote, I can't wait till she's a distant piece of my past. There are snippets of this person that float back and they're distracting. Not the second one, but the first one, the one that I crossed the river with. And I think it was because when I crossed the river with that person, I don't know. Again, I'm going with symbolism here and trying to interpret the symbolism. But maybe in the past I had felt a little more connected to this person than her purpose was otherwise necessary. But I kept thinking this morning while I was writing in my journal that it was frustrating because we haven't communicated in a long while, and I'd like to be able to put those memories behind me. And then I thought, well, maybe it was another shot. Maybe it was my brain taking another shot at pornography, which to me makes more sense, because that I feel like whenever the other girl shows up in my dreams, that's what that is. It's telling me that I've been trying to balance a sexual relationship and pornography, and you can't really do the two. I mean, you can do the two of those things if you have enough juice, but with my body not having as much testosterone in it, I find that I have a limited amount of interest at the moment, and that limited amount of interest is easily hijacked by pornography. It is, because pornography is designed to get you watching and then get you consuming, and it fights for dominance as far as what it is that I prefer to do. That's not to say that that my wife's unattractive or anything, because that's obviously not the case, but I feel like maybe it's the subconscious telling me that I'm putting too many eggs in a basket that doesn't. Oh, hey, buddy. I'm putting too many eggs in a basket that doesn't pay out. There's no chickens coming out of that basket. And in fact, if anything, that basket just rots from the bottom down, and everything you put into it just rots away at the bottom. Anyway, you guys have heard enough about that. From me, I don't need to go into further detail about that. As far as the quitting marijuana is concerned, I've last couple of days I haven't really felt. Actually, now that I think on it, the last couple of days, other than the video I did, or the videos that I've done, I haven't really thought about it. I can't say the same about video games. Yesterday, I've been noticing a surge of urges to get and or play video games. I watched a video where a guy was advertising that Raid Shadow Legends game, and I remember thinking to myself at the time, I could just go and download that. This automatic thought occurred. I could just go download it and start playing it. Oh, look, they've even got a welcome pack, so I could get some free stuff when I do. And I had to stop and... Smelly little prick. I had to stop and actually correct myself and say, no, it's not free stuff, it's free garbage, what they're giving you. And the connection to it all is designed to keep you hooked on playing it. You know that mobile games are among the worst for these types of things. So anyway, so that was and has been it's been interesting, more difficult to manage this last week, especially when I've been bored, which hasn't been often, but when it has happened, I've been thinking, well, I could play a game right now. I mean, Ghost of Tsushima is still around. Who knows? Maybe it's $40 now instead of $60. So I've noticed that that's been coming back in as the marijuana has sort of ebbed away. It's waned somewhat. The video games has come in a little more strong, and my urges to pick up games have been more frequent. How I deal with it? Honestly, it's one of two ways. The first way is, if I have the urges, is I sit down and watch something that's no more than 20 minutes or 25 minutes. I've been consuming the Star Wars Rebels cartoon show. It starts out pretty childish and kind of dumb, but by the time you get into the first season, it's actually pretty neat. And I'm up to season 4 now, and I can highly recommend it. In my opinion, it's not as good as the Clone Wars, I don't think, but only by a whisker. Like, it's Dave Filoni. I wish they would give him more work to do on Star Wars. I wish him and Jon Favreau would get bigger projects in Star Wars. Honestly, I wish they would just announce a new trilogy and give the two of them carte blanche to do whatever they wanted, because they seem to care about the environments, the world building. They seem to care about continuity and keeping the story intact, and not trying to subvert expectations. They seem to care about giving the fans what they want, which is more Star Wars. And I don't think there's any reason to have an original story in Star Wars anymore. Anyway, that's neither here nor there. Maybe I'll do a video on Star Wars one day. But that's number one. That's one of the ways that I manage the urges, is I just go and consume something else that's not as get me into it. It's not as attaching. And then the other way is to go do something physical. So I'll actually stand up and walk to go do something. There's plenty of things around the house that might need done. You know, the cat might need brushed, or I can vacuum a room, or I can clean the sink out, or do the dishes, or, you know, get some food, or there's something physical that I can do, and I find that the moving helps me, helps the thought sort of trail off into the distance, and then I don't think about it. I think that's about it. No, that's it for me. Have yourselves a good morning. Ka kite.